And for more on the Egyptian court's decision, I'm joined by Cole Bockenfeld. He's the Director of Advocacy at the Project on Middle East Democracy. Thank you so much for joining us, and welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Good to see you.
First, I want to get your reaction to this case or these charges being dropped against Mubarak. What are the implications here, and do you think this was a political decision, given who the president is at this time?
Right. Well, to be honest, today's verdict and this decision is deeply disappointing to a lot of people, but not altogether unsurprising. We've seen over the past year and a half in particular a real decline in the independence of the judiciary to really make judgments based on the evidence at hand. And this is just sort of the latest in a string of really surprising cases to us in the West that may be watching this, but not to those in Egypt that are really seeing any sort of justice or system of justice slip away.
You know, there were protests that we showed just a few moments ago, protests following this decision. Do you think this will bring even more instability to Egypt at the moment? What do you see happening here?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think a lot of people are really upset about this. I mean, I think even with the current regime, they've really gone to great lengths to identify themselves with the revolution on January 25th, to say we are the defenders of the original revolution and for justice, against a regime that we're sort of bringing Egypt forward into a new era. And then with this verdict today, it sort of looks like, well, we're not really moving forward in that direction anymore, that we're sort of allowing even the worst of the worst sort of to return back to go free, while so many of those that are expressing their opinions peacefully remain in jail.
And it wasn't just Mubarak, it was some of his closest aides, allies, his two sons also been cleared of these charges. Can you describe the atmosphere of what this could mean for Egypt? Obviously, you have Muslim Brotherhood supporters not happy about this as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think most people are deeply unhappy about this, except for those that sort of long for the stability and the benefits that were brought to them by the previous regime. I don't expect sort of any formal move by Mubarak himself back into politics and so on, but there is a real danger of elements of the old regime, including his sons, including the interior minister, who were also released today, that they could somehow become involved again and become involved behind the scenes and even more so actively and take the country really back to where it was pre-2011.
The president said that he's fine with this decision. He doesn't plan to challenge anything. Prosecutors want to appeal the decision. You don't think Mubarak will go back into politics, but what does the future hold for him? Do you see an appeal being successful at all, or is this just sort of theater?
Mm-hmm. Well, at this point, an appeal sort of goes to a higher court, which basically looks at the case on procedural grounds, just that the lower case followed the right procedures, not sort of opening a whole new trial on itself. And so I don't really expect a lot from that they would find a decision dramatically different than what we saw today.
Will we see more protests?
I think it's very likely. I think there's a lot of frustration building in Egypt, that a lot of disparate elements. You mentioned the Muslim Brotherhood as one of those that's really been protesting a lot over the past year and a half. What we've just seen today is a lot of the elements that defended the Brotherhood are now sort of uniting their protests with secular revolutionary youth that were really behind the January 25th protests. That the current president is really uniting a lot of different parts of the opposition in defiance of a lot of the moves this government is making. And I think that becomes more dangerous threat to this regime and to the stability of the country.
All right. Cole Bockenfeld, as always, we appreciate your insight.
Thank you.